Hey, how's everybody doing? Welcome to the worst reviews ever. Got KC Fred in here, Wally, amazing, and your boy, the sophisticated jerk. So today we're gonna do a review for it's called Time Cut, Netflix movie. So let me go ahead and I'll pull up the slides on this movie. Then again, once I get through the summary, director, and the producers, then we'll go ahead and cast. Then we'll jump into the trailer, and then we'll go ahead and give our rating. So, all right. Time Cut is a 2024 American science fiction slasher film directed by Hannah McPherson, who co-wrote the screenplay with Michael Kennedy. So the summary and the plot to this is a high school student accidentally travels back to 2003 and decides to stop the serial killer who murdered her sister. So, all right, directors and producers. So directed by, again, Hannah McPherson, produced by Matt Kaplan and Christopher Landon. Shout out to people for having simple names on this one, so I ain't had to butcher them. So I appreciate y'all. All right, so the cast for this movie: Madison Bailey as Lucy Field, Summer's younger sister; Antonia Gentry as Summerfield, Lucy's older sister; Michael Skanks as Gil Field, Lucy and Summer's father; Griffin Gluck as Quinn, a physics genius and Lucy's helper; Megan Bess as Emmy Golden, Summer's best friend; Samuel Braun as Ethan; Sydney Sebastian as Val Vaughn; and Cataman O'Connor as Brian Palmer. So, all right, we'll go ahead and let me pull up this trailer real quick. We'll watch that, and then, we'll go ahead. Y'all get ready, polish up your ratings, because I'm definitely interested to see what y'all gave for this one. And let me go ahead and press play real quick.
20 years ago, my sister and 3 other students were murdered.
Four kids murdered and they never even caught the guy.
I never got to meet my sister. They say you can't change the past. But what if you could?
What is going on?
What's the date?
April 16th?
What year?
Honey, it's 2003.
Life's like this. You're from the future. This is insane.
Look,
What is this?
it's my phone.
You call people on this?
I don't really call people, but
It's supposed to be like $1 million.
Now, I have a chance.
You look really familiar.
something really bad starts tonight.
How do you know that?
You can't stop this. You could create a ripple effect that could be devastating.
We're not altering the future. We're just giving it a little makeover.
Makeover.
A makeover.
Yeah, like in She's All That.
I don't remember that movie ending in the destruction of the space-time continuum.
In the future, do they catch the guy?
Summer, you're next.
So we'll work our way up. So amazing. We'll go ahead and start with your rating.
I liked it. I'm gonna give it a 7.
All right. So amazing's in between good and very good. All right, Casey Fred.
I gave it a 5.
So you got it between decent and average. All
Yeah.
right. Wally.
Oh man, I can't imagine what you're gonna tell me, Fred, about this one. See, now you're making me second guess what I'm gonna pick. Okay, I'm gonna just throw it. I'm gonna just throw it up there, but I might change it. So I'm gonna give it a 7, based upon what I saw so far.
Okay. I'm gonna give it a 7.2 for me. So, but all right, we'll get start with Definitely Casey Fred's going first on this one. So here's the questions. The
This
floor
this
is yours.
this seemed to be a weekly thing with y'all.
You had the lowest, so we that's the new thing. Whoever got the lowest, we gonna start with them, and then we
Well,
go with the
last week I
highest
had
rated.
the highest, so this week I got the lowest. But I don't know if we watching the same thing. But I'm not. You guys already know I'm not really into horror films. It was decent. It was definitely a 2003 vibe if you like that, and Hilary Duff with the soundtrack and all that jazz. But as far as just comparing it to the person that was the most famous in the whole movie was the person that was dead. I finally found it funny that all of a sudden she even says in the preview, "You look familiar." Now, how you gonna look familiar when you don't even know your sister? She wasn't even born when you was alive, but yet you look familiar. I was like, I wasn't even really with none of this. I thought the Lucy, who was actually real name is Bailey, which is ironic, but I thought she was the one that was supposed to be trying to carry the movie because she's in almost every scene, and even just her emotions and just the way she flowed, I had a hard time just flowing with her and getting there. And then of course the machinery or whatever for this, Back to the Future type of stuff. I don't even know how that you go randomly to a barn and then has this technology sitting there just waiting for you so that way it can take you back into time. I just thought all of that was just kind of weird to me. The other thing I thought was weird was the way they put the killer. You pretty much knew who the killer was in the first 5 minutes. They just didn't tell you that it was him at the end, but it was obvious. Most of the time in most horror films or scary movies, you don't really realize it until towards the middle, like you have an idea, but at least at the end. But I knew exactly it was that kid at the very beginning because I mean he had already had a bunch of grievances. He's the one that's getting picked on. He's the one that all of a sudden is the one in love. He's the one that's leaving notes. He's the one that all of a sudden secretly, all of a sudden, is the smartest and is able to outfox everyone else. So I just kind of like thought, I'm not really feeling this, but I'm gonna stick it out all the way to the end, and that's what I did. So I gave it a 5. Was it decent as far as kids trying to come together and make the film? Yeah, but I just didn't like, which goes into the next one, the storyline and plot. I just didn't know. A lot of times movies, you get something out of it. You find out what the meaning is. It's supposed to be a heart to heart, but at the end of the day, this is a situation where it's like a, a sister goes back to try to see if she can stop a killing of her sister. But the dilemma is if you stop it and she lives, then her parents never produce you. Because the reason why she was even born in the first place is because they were grieving and they want to get back what they lost. So they produce another kid that happens to be Lucy. But the reality is, it was always supposed to be the older one that was supposed to live. And so that's what I felt like they were trying to go with, but it just never really developed and climaxed that way. As far as actors or actresses' performances that stuck out, like I said, I kind of like the main character, but the one that was dead, I think she's the one that brought more life to it, and you kind of saw what her life was about and who she was, and even in that, trying to find herself and not only who she is, but also who she loves and stuff like that. So I thought that kind of stuck out to me. Like I said, the guy that's playing, like he's the nerd on one end, but then also the killer that has all of these grievances that want to be able to kill people. I thought that was interesting. The people that he did kill, I just thought that was interesting that they was just happened to be there, but they didn't really have no significance, and they didn't even really talk about their life. They just happened to be there, and I felt like it was wrong place, wrong time for each one of them and stuff. So let me see. Would there change anything about this movie? Yeah, probably just know me because I don't like horror films. I would probably call it a afternoon special. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, it's supposed to be a horror film, but it was more of pop-ups type of thing. So it had the suspense, but I didn't really get the horror type of thing compared to most of the movies that you guys normally see. And so for it to be a 2024, I thought there'd be more special effects, more scenery, more lighting, more, drama, more action packed. And it just kind of dragged, even though it was only 90 minutes. I was just like, this is kind of like like I said, an afternoon special that just had some pop-ups along the way. Okay, all right, But for the most part, remind me of that commercial. Hey, let's get in the driving car on the commercial. And they was like, no, let's go into the fence, into the barn. It has all the weapons, and which is exactly what that girl did. That's how she it gave the killer all the arsenal that he need, and he ended up killing her with one of those sickles or whatever. So yeah, so I don't know. Like I said, this movie was just kind of like, I don't want to say the word whack, but at the end of the day, it was decent enough to watch, but it was more so for kids. I didn't really see the adults get much out of it because, like I said, it's trying to take you back to 2003. If 2003 was your year, then you love the Hillary Duff and the cool stuff that they had back then and nostalgia and stuff like that. But I just wasn't feeling it. And before you guys ask, I didn't eat any nachos with this. First of all, I don't even eat nachos with horror films anyway. But it wasn't even really horror to me. So horror, like it's supposed to be, like you guys normally try to put out there. So it was all good. Would I change anything? Like I said, ABC special, I would put it on TV. I definitely wouldn't go out and pay money to watch this movie, just being honest with you. And would I recommend this movie to anyone? Well, first of all, would I watch it again? And the answer would be no. So would I recommend this to somebody to watch? I'm probably going to say no. But I'll let you guys have the floor because I like to be able to see what you guys got out of this movie because I really didn't get much, just being honest with you. So there it is.
All right, I'll go ahead. Since I had the highest one, I'll jump in there. So what is my rating? I gave it a 7.2. And the reason why I gave it a 7.2, at first I didn't know the boy was the killer. At first I thought it was going to be that professor or the teacher. I kind of had him pegged for it because he was like a kind of a weirdo and stuff. So I thought it might have been him. I didn't really see the boy, the whole futuristic element and stuff like that. So I like how they kind of tie that in. I like the fact that it wasn't too heavy on the sci-fi. And, it was kind of like a thriller, more or less. It wasn't like on a horror film tip where it kind of focused on the younger kids a little bit more. And it showed that dynamic of like what I think about the plot and the storyline. And that's what I liked about it, where it had the sisters had to kind of make a decision. The younger girl that came back in time was like, damn, okay, I could save my sister and her friends. She had to make that decision like, dang, if I go alone with this, then, I'm not even going to, I might not be born or something that might interrupt it. But, she finally decided. So I like how they kind of tied in that dynamic. Like you had to kind of sacrifice yourself. And, when they were even talking about the parents, I like the one scene where, she was just like, hey, I really didn't have in the future, I really didn't have a childhood or anything. Cause the parents was always grieving and stuff. So I like how they focused on those different dynamics. And even with the boy that, was the slasher and in this movie, kind of show like he was kind of like left alone, with his family situation, getting picked on, and that's kind of why he ended up snapping and stuff and had to crush. So I like how they kind of show those different dynamics of like bullying and how I say kids kind of get neglected, and that could kind of trigger different outcomes. So I think that was kind of more or less like the major component of the story and stuff. So I did like how they tie that in. So I thought collectively it was a little goofy scenes though. I'll say the dude when he was the actual slasher in the film, I felt like they could have outran him easily and like threw something to knock him over. So some of them scenes, like in the mall when he was like chasing him, I'm like, man, y'all could have definitely got away from this dude. So they were a little over the top with some of those, but I kind of like how it was humorous. Whereas it's like, man, you could have definitely got away from that guy. I could have like tripped him and ran to the next town, but by the time he could catch me, so I did like how they made it a little more goofy and playful and stuff. You know, for like you were saying a little bit, Fred, like a teen type movie. So yeah, I just think I like the scenes where it wasn't too over the top with the sci-fi. So even like when they broke into the place, you know, which they got the dad's thing. It was like a little basic looking machine. It wasn't all this like high tech stuff and all this over the top sci-fi that some teenagers could run. It was just, you know, they damn near just got lucky with this stuff. So if I were the director and producer of this movie, what would I change or do differently? I definitely would have strengthened a little bit of the, I'll say slasher parts where the guy was like going after the kids. I would have made those a little stronger. Like I said, the fact that he was all clumsy and stuff, and I just felt like they could have definitely got away. So I mean, it was funny as hell the way that they played it out, but it was just like he should have been like a little more agile or just better like in the other I'll say slasher movies and stuff. But other than that, I would have kept it the same. So would I recommend this to anyone? Yeah, you know, for like like definitely a Netflixer, I would say, man, if you got some time, definitely check this one out. I would recommend it. But all right, I'll go ahead and toss it to Wally on this one.
All right, so let me get my sci-fi on this one. All right, so I gave this a 7, and why I gave it a 7? Pretty much, I ain't gonna lie. I mean, for the idea of it, it was pretty nice. It was a little bit strange though at the beginning because, like, you know, older sister of the younger sister, you know, magically finds, this magical, well, not magical, but this time machine in the same area your sister gets, pretty much killed off of. Is like, you would think whoever the guy is would have time traveled back wherever it's time and just lived his life after you did the murder. Why are you still here? So there's something still connecting you here, whatever reasons for whatever you're trying to do. But that was just pretty funny how you just left that there, and then whoop, the younger sister goes back in time to go see her older sister and then try to save her life. That was sort of like a big time screw up because that really didn't make no sense personally into me. But it was like, hey, whatever. That was a big screw up in my opinion. But after that whole thing, what was the most funniest part is like that moment, like you come into the future, you come into the past is more youthfuler, and it's like it's just way more youthfuler. Everything's more shiny and more clean than it used to be. You go with your cell phone, it's like, oh, wait, why is my cell phone not working? Next thing you know, it's like, oh, you're back in 03. I'm like, yeah, it's funny how you realize how the world has evolved from that because it was pretty much a fossil back in the days. Oh, man, that shit was funny. And then, the small little, increment moments like, oh my God, why is the computer making that sound? Did I broke it? No, that's what it usually does, which is so horrible. So, just those small little tangents of, funny jokes. But I mean, ultimately, all in all, like this was pretty like decent in a sense. Did I knew who the killer was straight off the back? No. Personally, there was just too much things going on. And that's why I'm like, I know for Fred, he was saying like he pretty much guessed it because it was the kid. But I'm like, as much as he does make sense for the kid to be the person to do it, the problem that I have with it is, as smart as you are, you leave the time machine there. I mean, you got everyone you got. Why leave it there? Why you're still here? You'd have been gone. So it didn't make no sense, especially since the younger sister is so much younger. So you still in that time zone where the president is in, or you just left that machine there amongst your timing, however it is, right? So it was just a very off-putting just to know that you left it there versus taking it and, move it somewhere else. You just left it there like, oh, okay, it's not going to work no more. It's whatever. Not the case, which it was just very clumsy of a smart person to do that. Which I just don't see it. But another thing that it was just like, but after, I'll say it like this, after like you start getting into it, the flow and the scenery of it, it was starting to get good. I mean, I like it for what it was. You know, it was pretty much like you're a time traveler, you're on a mission to save your sister, and multiple people that is connected to her. You only get to really save your sister and her actual secret love interest. Because, hello, she's not straight. Which, you know, it's funny because when you sit back and think to yourself, once you find out who the killer is, you think to yourself, if you just probably told him that you're pretty much straight and then you just saying that you don't have feelings and you laugh at him like a little doof, you probably wouldn't been in this situation. Or probably most of y'all would not be in this situation. But, you know, it just those little irony moments right there is like, yeah, don't push certain people because you never know where they'll be at. Because Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
That was a funny one. That's the sad part. But, you know, but lo and behold, it's just very interesting because I think not only was she there to save her sister, she ended up saving the dude because pretty much she gave the dude a second chance to live, or at least in this case to rewrite himself in his own image to better not be what he became in the future.
That's a good point.
Because when you think about it, right, her changing that moment of him being dropped into the pool, or well, not the pool, but you know, the water, the sea, the water, however it is, the river, whatever. Him not being dropped in there, pretty much that was the saving part. That was the saving case of his life. Granted, there's also the paper note that he didn't get to send. But I think at that moment, to what Fred is saying, at that moment when she read the note, I think, yeah, that was the moment right there. You probably could have guessed it was him because that note at that moment, especially if you were to pause the screen and just really skim it, you'd probably think, okay, he's the closest one because there's something that ties you to this person. Why is this person being attacked? And why is people that she cares about being attacked? So someone has to be that close. Because at first you would think on a base of scenery, it was the jock, but I'm like, nah, that don't make no sense. This is science. So you're not even close to that. Not a chance. Right? Even though not saying we didn't know where this murderer was and didn't know he was a time traveler. So nonetheless, but it was just one of those things. And that's why it was sort of a little iffy because if this guy is on like from his current timeline, if he's from his current timeline, why would you need a time machine? To what, to keep doing it again? You got that sick? I'm just saying it don't make no sense. That's like, so it's like the time traveling thing was a little bit off because the moment they hit to the they went to that science lab and then they realized there was one open and two of them were cleared. So that tells me someone definitely know about the time machine. But my thing is, why would you need a time machine when you just did the things in the present time? Like, add that up for me. Something's missing here. Unless you use the time machine pretty much to be at the right time at the right place to exact your revenge on the people that did you wrong. Which that could be the only other thing, but that's what I'm saying. A lot of this part of the movie was sort of wonky, you know, in a lot of ways of how it's set up because the motive for you to have a time machine, even though in the present time you could have just did what you did, it's sort of very weird. But hey, pick and choose. But overall, the concept of the plot and the storyline was pretty nice because one thing is you got the younger sister to not only save her older sister, but you pretty much saved her a relationship and also saved the dude that a thing for your sister, but that you end up becoming cool with and possibly have a future life with as far as in the present format because you're pretty much both of you are pretty smart and probably going to go into big science college together, however it may be. But as far as like, because I know Fred was mentioning like trying to get a good sense of what did this story really entail to you, like as far as a message. Well, one, real simple. Is it so hard to just be kind to people? Like, regardless if you feel like that people are not at your level and all this other stuff, just be just decent people. That's just it. Just be decent freaking people. You do not know what people have over you the moment they start really going to that evil side of themselves. Because they will do shit like this if they have the opportunity. They will do shit like this. They have the opportunity. But also it also teaches, like I think in a lot of cases too, is like this, like at the biggest format of it all, is like, what are you willing to do for someone that you really care for? Because let's be honest, the younger sister could have lost her life. She probably would never be born because she pretty much said, I'm only here because you died. If you didn't get assassinated, I probably wouldn't be here. And, it's funny that way because if she chose this, and let's say hypothetically, going back, maybe you wouldn't be alive. Maybe you just be locked up in your dad's, you would be right there still being a sperm versus actually being alive. It's just very, very weird. So it was like, it was a very like unique situation, especially with things on the line as far as, life and death. So that was the big hitter right there. What else is there that I can probably see? No, I think that's it. Yeah, pretty much saving someone else's life to give them another chance from dealing with the heartbreak, because you end up finding out why you end up doing it, or why you are the killer because you seeing yourself in the freaking mirror right now and everything else. But yeah, other than that, as far as actors and actresses' performance, pretty much the main cast, like I think everyone did decent. Really nothing spectacular overall. I think like the main thing is the sisters, the bondage, because they never really get to see each other in the present time. So to see her sister reenact with her and then reenact with her family in the past and everything else, it was just like, how do you take that all in? And it's like trying to be real calm with everything, even though you're slowly but surely telling truths. And it's like you're trying to, give away things. And it is crazy because you would think the sister would react in like, you're lying. You can't be from the future. Only to find out slowly on her own terms. You see this note, the notes in your locker. Next thing you know, it's like, okay, she actually making sense. And and everything else. She didn't, instead of going loony, she just stayed calm and just did what she did. And like, yeah. And then of course you start to understand why, her relationship with the female friend, why she was so down on it, because in reality, she had a thing for her. So, they were showing a lot of decent moments in all this. The only thing I would say, like, and I'm going to go into like, what if I was the director or the producer, what I change? If I was the director and the producer, the one thing, some of the few things I would change is this, right? One, the killer motive a little bit, because one thing is his motive was common sense, right? I was treated poorly, so what did I do? I killed you, and I killed everyone that you're friends with, anyone you love, just as much as you love them. I've taken from you what you took in from me, right? And then I also take you out. But the problem about his, like, this is my thing about his motive is, you didn't really show the backdrop story. How do you even knew about the machinery and the technology to actually do this? You didn't really play out the plot in your revenge story. All you just told is, okay, you was bullied, you utter your heart to you, she said F you pretty much, and broken your little itty bitty heart, and then of course you went into psycho mode. But how did you know about the tech? That's like a nice lingering part that you didn't want to break down. So it just feeling me like, where was the relationship? Because he had to get the tech somehow, right? So it's like, for you to figure it out and all that is just very much a mystery in a sense, because you never know. Because who's not say he wasn't working with nobody? Because for you to just sit there and leave the machine there in that place of a pretty unique position of where you're supposed to be, it just seems very freaking clumsy. It just really does. So for me,
I'm gonna explain that in my review, because there's an explanation for that.
I hope you have a good one, because that's not going to be. Trust me, there's nothing you can think that. There's nothing you could probably tell me that could be decent. It's just not enough. It's just not enough. Granted, the only one thing is, if that area was locked off and no one can be there and it was permitted, then fine. That's probably the smartest thing you could probably think of. But honestly, would I recommend anyone this movie? Yeah, why not? It was fine. I had no problems watching.
All right, amazing.
Okay, so my rating was, I always have to write it down because I forget, 7. What did I think about the plot or storyline? I liked it, but I did think, and I think this is where like some of the confusion is. I do think it wasn't like very clear, but it was two separate timelines going on in the movie. So the reason the time machine was at the barn is because in timeline number 1, Quinn is an adult who's having revenge. So he goes back to the party, which ultimately is where everything ends at. So the time machine in timeline number 2 goes back, like everything ends at that barn, and that's why the time machine is there. So it's the two separate story timelines. So you have the timeline as Quinn is an adult, and he puts himself back at the barn to like do his revenge and kill everybody. But in that timeline, that's where Lucy's ultimately created. So it's like a little loophole. I just think it was kind of confusing, and that's what they could have done better. Because I don't think you should really have to think about it that hard to figure out why did all of this happen. Actors or performances that stuck out. I thought everybody did a good job in general. I guess the performances that stuck out was definitely the Quinn, where he in the one, right, like the one timeline is he gets pushed in and bullied. And then what makes the change is, oh, sorry, I feel like I need a drink. Which makes the change is where Lucy sticks up for him in front of everybody. And I do feel like Wally and Jerk also said, is kids are so mean. Like, it literally made me think about like this one boy that I knew in high school that was bullied nonstop. And a lot of these people, like when you look at people that do crazy stuff, they were bullied. And kindness is not hard. It's not hard to be nice to somebody. I can confidently say the boy I knew that was bullied, I was 100% always nice to him. But I think that makes a difference. But yeah, I think that was like the overarching theme of the movie was kindness, kind of like the bullying aspect, and then sacrifice. So thinking of Lucy literally like sacrificing her whole life to make everybody else, I guess, happy, her sister alive, the parents happy because of the way she lived. And then also always feeling like she kind of lived in the sister Summer's shadow, down to the fact of when they went to, I think it was an Olive Garden they went to, and the waitress was like, oh my gosh, she even orders, or you know what I mean? So it's kind of like always living in the dead sister's shadow. So to me, that was kind of like the theme, was the kindness bullying aspect, and then the sacrifice too. She kind of sacrificed in one aspect, sacrificed her life, but then she seems happier at the end anyways, because she's always kind of sad, trying to live in the shadow, the family's not supporting her leaving. So to me, that was kind of like the theme. If I was the director, would I do anything differently? I would just make it more clear on these whole like different timelines that was going on, because I do think that was just like too much for just watching a movie. I would recommend it. I actually was going to watch it again just to recap, and I just didn't have time to, but I would watch it again and I would recommend it.
Yeah, I might have to watch it to mold out that timeline. But Wally, I saw you wanted to give some pushback on that theory.
Yeah. Okay, look. As far as your timeline lineup, like, okay, here's one split timeline, here's another one. And of course, when we talk about timelines, yes, they're usually polar, like, well, not polar, but parallel opposites of each other. I can get that. Here's the problem. You end up being in the same place. No, I ain't buying it. I ain't buying it. Here's my problem with your scenario. Now, I'm gonna say this again. This is why I said when it came time for him to speak about his whole reasoning for turning to be this villain and do the murders, this is why I say the story just don't add up. Because I'm gonna say it again. One, how did you get in to even use the technology? That's one part. Did you just magically graduated? You were just chosen to be the scholar, and you knew about the tech because you're working in the corporation, yada yada, and then you got the thing. Cool. But the thing is, here's the problem. Father was still alive, so you didn't kill him. But notice what he said. I'm gonna kill you and all the people you care about, but you didn't kill the parents, though. Make that up. So think about that.
Getting too much into this, Wally.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. If I'm telling you that, I'm doing that too. I'm doing
Hey.
You're thinking too far into this. But the one thing actually I forgot about is I did feel bad for the what do they call them? Like whatever casualty, like the security guard and other guy that wasn't there another person that just kind of had to die unintentionally. So that kind of stuff.
But that's another thing. Why did the security guard have to die? Why did he even went there? What? Because the battery was dead and he needed a new recharge?
See, that's why it's pushed back on all of it.
Wally,
Wally, you need to be at a 5 with me. Amy and Jerk, y'all need to go ahead and be at a 5.5 because none of y'all are making any sense. Everybody knows at the very beginning, he all of a sudden, everybody was fanning this nerd off at the beginning. He's the only smart one that could be able to pull this off. The science teacher couldn't do it. He could barely walk, and he was more worried about his pet turtle than anything. So he wasn't going out there slicing and dicing and killing nobody. The jock can't be at two places at the same time. He's too busy trying to get drunk and entertain everybody, but he's not going to go back and wear the same mask and be the same height as the nerd. Because at the end of it, if you notice, both of them are together and they're exactly the same height. You can literally say where he would slick his hair back and then all of a sudden put on the mask, throw the hoodie on, and be the killer. He's the only one that could figure out the science person. The only person that actually shocked him in the movie was literally Lucy. And that was because she was doing NASA stuff and was that smart. But everybody else, he was doing everybody's homework. You knew who the killer was at the beginning. If you guys roll back, you saw it right there. It was crystal clear because he was the one that was being pushed off. He's the one that had the most grievances. He's the one that all of a sudden at the very beginning, when she wouldn't even talk to him. Oh, I only see you this way. Oh, I talk to you later. It was always that kid that's always being pushed off. The one that they was going to go ahead and do the prank on, push up against the wall. The one that all of a sudden they was going to throw into the water. It had to be him. And yet at the same time, when it came to this going back into the future and all that stuff, he's the only one that was smart enough to be able to pull that stuff. Plus, he had a little secret room for them to be able to work in and get material from. It was so crystal obvious. So
actually, it wasn't.
When it comes to this horror stuff, you guys need to just bring your numbers back.
Negative.
Wait.
Hold on. Let me jump in there real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Because Amazing had a good point. He wasn't smart enough when he was a kid to do any of that. He grew up, and that's when he came back with the time machine.
Which is why
and then even you couldn't really tell like if it was just a boy at that time, because even when some of those the killings was going down, the boy was with the girl because it was the person that came back from the past. So the timing was off. That's why like you couldn't even like really think it was the little boy at the time, but it was his future self. So that's where Amazing was talking about there was kind of two timelines going on. So that's why you couldn't really guess it at that time.
But here's my thing.
They're the same height though, bro.
Wait.
Yeah, but I'm saying it was still two different people. It's still two different people, even though, so that's what I'm saying.
Look, because I say this, right? Because the one thing is, I'll agree with Fred, because when Fred was bringing it up, at first, I'm like, you couldn't really figure it out at first, because no one could. I don't think so. No one could. Like, no way. The problem was, like I said, once Lucy, the younger sister, went back to the future and saw the note, that's when I was like, okay, he's suspicious. He's the biggest suspicious person, because literally, I would never think the jock, because that would make no sense. He's just not that guy. Just couldn't think about that. Unless he had massive help, no way in hell. 2, the science teacher, same thing. He just looked like some guy that's some hippie on the sidelines just doing what he does, and he just likes to do what he do. It ain't enough for him either. But my thing is, when you're talking about like you're targeting Pacific people, you had to make a connection. And he was the biggest one with the connection. And that's why I'm saying after the letter, that's what it made sense, because you knew how he really felt about her. So there has to be someone, if you're targeting her, you had to have some type of issue with her to make that climax be what it is. And that's why it made sense when you saw that letter from him that was going to get to her. So now it's like it makes sense because you're targeting people that's connected to her and that she actually liked. So that's what I'm like, at that point, that was the clear sign. But before that, no, it wasn't enough clear signs yet.
Yeah, like you said, you could start piecing it together, but it was just like I said, when you seen if you go back and you look at when some of the incidents was going down, the boy was actually there with her, like running from him. So that's what I'm saying. You couldn't really put it together. That was the tricky part.
It's always the closest one. Like, take for instance, you may not have confirmed it to the end, but you saw it at the beginning. You got to think, you guys have literally forced me to watch several horror movies that I did not want to watch. And every single time, the killer, I hate to say this, but he's always right there at the beginning. And then he just keeps popping up and he keeps popping up. And then
that's typically how they go.
I'm going to pick this person right here. And then it confirms it at the very end. I chose that person. Y'all don't want to admit that. I chose the right person, and every clue after that, all of a sudden, just kept going right back to that same dude, same height, same skinniness, same slowfulness, same all of a sudden want to be close to somebody, but I can't see you that way. Don't come with because I'm not in love with you. I'm in love with this girl over here. I mean, you saw all the signs. He was never given any love. Nobody liked him. Everybody was always trying to alienate him. It was all right there. If you go back and look at it, you'll see it right.
Yeah, we got y'all. We're just saying like the only element that's different is like because we understand it's the boy, but it was like from a different timeline. So that's all we're saying is like that was the wrinkle in the whole like storyline.
Another timeline.
I like the timeline.
It had to be in the same one.
Look, I think we just need to end this on the vote of the people. We need to.
Timeline is not enough to make
Think about it though. Think about it. It can't be like two parallel worlds though. Here's the reason why I said.
Okay, forget the timeline thing. No. Hold on. Come on, Wally, chill. No, because it's just like the guy came back. So obviously there was two of the same version of the guy. He was older. That's all we're saying. It's just like he had to come back to do it. Part, so they saw each other. There was literally two of them.
Parallel worlds? No, I ain't gonna.
Yeah, but forget the two roles. But we're just saying like there was two guys.
Oh yeah, no,
that had to come back and like.
But
yeah. But I'm just saying, so the other guy had to come back and he was doing a crime and the other guy was with the girl. So that's all we're saying. It's just like, it's hard to be like, it was him when there's literally like two different versions. So that's the wrinkle in the whole story. So was it him? Yeah, you got that right. But to sit there, like when the incident is going and the boy is with the girl, you could have guessed that it would have been that version of that boy. That's all we're saying.
The simple fact that none of us can agree. I'm ready to change my score to a 3. I'm
going up.
Too much goodness. Now I'm saying this is whack. This wasn't even good. None of us agree on anything. 3, that's where I'm putting it. Okay, let's go to the next movie.
But I get what Wally was saying. Yeah, we probably messed up on the terminology, but yeah, it was just the part that he had to come back and he was doing the stuff. But yeah, if you go back, you look at the scenes, like the boys with the girls, so that's what threw that out. But I mean, it was technically him doing the killing, just not the version of the kid in school. So yeah, and I'm gonna bump it up. I'm bumping it up a little bit.
Hey, you put this in classic. I'm telling you right now, your new name.
Nah, I ain't going on. I don't be tripping like that. Sorry. Yeah, we're gonna start with amazing. You gonna change your score? You gonna stay the same, or you going down?
I'm gonna bump it up too, just for those critical thinking skills. I'm gonna bump it up to
Lord.
You said, what are you going up to?
I'm just gonna do 7.2. I went from 7 to 7.2.
All right. Casey Fred.
And I want to say, I'm staying strong with my verbiage. There was 2 timelines going on in this movie, parallel, concurrent with each other.
Just one.
Lucy was a product of timeline number 2 meshing with number 1.
I'm kind of agreeing with Amazing on this. I think Wally's trying to trap us with the sci-fi terminology.
I want to go up just for the fact that you're actually agreeing with me. I almost feel like I need to go up just for that alone.
Nah, don't put your But all right, Casey Fred.
So what? You trying to tell me?
Hey.
Oh, because what Trunks did in Dragon Ball Z? Okay, yeah, there's 2 timeline parallel universes. So.
Hey, just because of all this, I'm sticking with my score. It's a 3.
All right, Wally, what's your score?
Oh no, I'm cutting back. Like I said, there was a little bit of inconsistencies of how this all played out for me in my visual. So I'm gonna keep it at 6.5.
Okay. 6.5. So you're still in good territory. I'm gonna stay at a 7.2. I'll keep it there. Very good territory. Like Amazing said, there's 2 timelines. Y'all just didn't grasp it.
This movie's so bad that you can't even watch it again on Netflix. It has already expired. So I just want you to know.
No, I'm gonna go back. I gotta watch it again now. I gotta.
It's already expired. It's no longer on Netflix anymore.
So that tells me that you tried. Did you try to watch
what it tells me? It
Oh
tells
yeah,
me
he went back.
This movie was whacked from the very get go. ABC special at best. I would not pay money for this.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely have to go back and watch it because I gotta catch some things. Because Wally did have some good points. Because like you said, the timeline stuff was a little cheesy.
Jerk, I think you guys owe me money for watching this. That's how I feel about this.
Like, what did I see?
What was that? What was you saying, Fred?
I said, I feel like you guys owe me some money just for watching this movie. You know what I'm saying?
This was decent, man. I thought it was decent. I thought it was a good little
it's
flow.
Gonna be a vote. We need the people to vote. Let us know.
Yeah. They'll let us know.
Well,
but,
first of all, go ahead.
Oh no. Go ahead.
The group of people that did vote, most of the people said this was a 5.
Yeah, most of them, the reviews were pretty terrible. So, and that's why there won't be another one. So, yeah.
I thought it was straight. People tend to agree with the
it
jerk.
was straight. The time traveler just Jackie.
It was straight terrible.
First but of all, right,
no. Go ahead,
did bro. You? No, go ahead, Fred.
No, I was looking at that sign. I was like, no, give me the orange one. That's the one I want. You know, the one that.
Yeah, you said she got to get the red one. But we'll go ahead. We'll shut this one out. Yeah, y'all definitely let us know who y'all agree with. You agree with Casey Fred's low score this time? Wally on the 2 universe timelines. Are you agree with me? Amazing. So y'all let us know. But all right.
Only one.